A Firefly Named Torchy by Bernard Weber. On a warm night at the edge of a woods, a firefly was born. His name was Torchy. "Eat your dinner," his mother would say when Torchy was just a little flicker, "and someday you will grow up as big and bright as your father." Torchy did eat his dinner and did grow up big and bright. Everyone was astonished. His light was so bright. Whatever did he eat? The other mother fireflies wanted to know. "Just the usual, nectar, pollen, slugs, that sort of thing," Torchy's mother answered. But she was as surprised as the next firefly. Early each night, the fireflies came out to dance. They loved to show off their lights and flash secret messages to one another. They twinkled and glowed and together made 1,000 chandeliers in the woodland. Torchy too wanted to show off, to twinkle and glow and flash secret messages. But when Torchy turned on his light, suddenly, just as bright as day, there was mouse, and there was fox, and there was rabbit, and there was squirrel, and there was possum, and there was skunk, and there was beaver, and there was frog. And mouse looked at fox, and fox looked at rabbit, and rabbit looked at squirrel, and squirrel looked at possum, and possum looked at skunk, and skunk looked at beaver, and beaver looked at frog, and everyone was so surprised to see everyone. Quick beetles fell on their backs, they were so surprised. Flowers with petals folded for the night unfolded again. Baby birds, thinking it morning, cried out to be fed. Earthworms, up for the evening, scrambled for cover. "Turn off that light!" shouted Chipmunk. "Don't you know what time it is?" "Turn off that light!" shouted Woodchuck. "Now I'll be tired in the morning." "Turn off that light!" shouted the other fireflies, hiding deep in the grass. "You're supposed to be softly twinkling, you know." "Turn off that light!" everyone shouted at once. Torchy turned off his light. It was dark again. Everyone was happy. Everyone but Torchy. "If only I weren't so bright. If only I could softly twinkle like the other fireflies," Torchy sighed. "Nonsense," his mother answered from her resting place on the top of a blade of grass. "Anyone can twinkle. All you must do is take your time about it. That's all. And when you are ready to twinkle, breathe deeply and think happy, twinkly thoughts." "Like this," his mother said. Taking a deep breath, magically, her golden light began at once to twinkle. "That's beautiful," Torchy exclaimed. "See," said his mother. "What did I tell you? Nothing to it, right? Now you go out and try it for yourself." "Oh, I will," Torchy answered eagerly. "And Torchy," said his mother, "just say to yourself, 'I can twinkle.'" "I can twinkle," said Torchy. "Say it again." "I can twinkle." Again. "I can twinkle." "Good," said his mother, "and good luck." So Torchy went out again, and he remembered to take his time, and he remembered to breathe deeply, and he remembered to think happy, twinkly thoughts, and slowly, ever so slowly, he tried to twinkle. But when he did, suddenly, as bright as day, there was mouse, and there was fox, and there was rabbit, and there was squirrel, and there was possum, and there was skunk, and there was beaver, and there was frog. And mouse looked at fox, and fox looked at rabbit, and rabbit looked at squirrel, and squirrel looked at possum, and possum looked at skunk, and skunk looked at beaver, and beaver looked at frog, and everyone was surprised all over again. Flowers unfolded their petals all over again. Click beetles fell on their backs all over again. Baby birds cried to be fed all over again, and the earthworms scrambled for cover all over again. "Turn off that light!" shouted Chipmunk. "Turn off that light!" shouted Woodchuck. "Turn off that light!" shouted the other fireflies. "Turn off that light!" everyone shouted at once. Torchy turned off his light. It was dark again. Everyone was happy. Everyone but Torchy. "If only I weren't so bright. If only I could softly twinkle," Torchy sighed. "Nobody is perfect," Owl spoke up. "Perhaps you weren't meant to twinkle." "But I want to twinkle," said Torchy. "Look at it this way," said Owl. There are many kinds of light in the world. You should be mighty proud of yours, Torchy." "But I want to twinkle," said Torchy. "What is so special about twinkling? You can find twinklers anywhere." "But I want to twinkle," said Torchy. "Torchy, yours is like no other firefly light in the whole wide world. Do you know what that means?" "It means I can't twinkle," said Torchy. "And you want to twinkle," said Owl. "Yes," Torchy answered. "Think it over, Torchy," said Owl. Torchy flew away to think. "Why shouldn't I twinkle?" he thought. "I'm a firefly, aren't I? Fireflies are supposed to twinkle. That's what we're here for, to twinkle. Besides," he thought, "it's nice to twinkle, and it's fun to twinkle. Happiness is twinkling," he decided, "especially for fireflies." Torchy was still carried away in thought when suddenly he was surprised by the many dancing lights off in the distance. "There must be millions of fireflies out there," he exclaimed to himself. Torchy decided to join them. Soon he was surrounded by lights, all manner of lights. Big lights, little lights, bright lights, dim lights, yellow, blue, green, orange, red, purple, and white lights. Dazzling, zooming, zipping, zigzagging lights, and yes, even twinkling lights. "It's true," thought Torchy. "There are many kinds of light in this world. Why should I hide mine?" So Torchy flashed his brilliant light. He flashed and flashed and flashed. He flashed at building lights, bridge lights, street lights and car lights. He flashed at the moon and the stars. He flashed all night long. At last, Torchy was tired. Tired, but so happy that on the way home, without even thinking, he began to twinkle.